Fall camp has finally arrived. I'm Stephen Means. That's Andrew Gillis. Stefan will be with us within the next week or so. But for now, it's just us two. We watched the full first practice of Ohio State's 2024 fall camp slate. We're talking quarterbacks first. I actually watched the quarterback, so I can give that evaluation. But Ryan Day also had some good things to say about the quarterbacks. Let's start there, because what he has to say about him is way more important than what I have to say about him. What did Ryan Day think of what he saw from his 5 quarterbacks on the first day of fall camp?
Well, don't put yourself down, Mr. Quarterback Whisperer. Give yourself some credit. One of the things that I thought he said was that they all looked fit and they all looked ready to go. I think that was really important because he's emphasized a couple of times the running quarterback aspect of this season. Kind of spoke volumes to me that when he talked about them, and then he got asked specifically about Will Howard, he talked about changing your body composition, changing, the way that things operate in terms of just how you live off the field, your eating habits, your workout habits, the workout regimen you have to do. So that was notable to me because I think they are really going to focus on the running quarterback aspect of things this year. He did mention the ball was coming out faster. He mentioned the ball was coming out maybe with a little bit more pace. There were, he thought all the quarterbacks were more accurate. You have 5 this year. There's a split field going on right back there behind us. So what they do is they'll split the quarterbacks up where you have, Devin Brown was running with the wide receiver 1s today. And then you'll have Will Howard kind of running with the wide receiver 2s, like that group. And you'll kind of mix and match and you'll do a bunch of different things. We saw, I think Aaron Noland had like a first team rep in there too. So they will really get everybody involved. But, when you look at this quarterback room, that's, I think, maybe the difficulty. Maybe it shouldn't be the difficulty. We can talk about that more on Buckeye Talk. But you got to get some of these guys reps, and it sounded like Ryan Day was pretty impressed with what he saw because you do have a deep room from top to bottom. You've got experience, you've got young and promising, you've got guy who's been here a while in Devin Brown, and like you've got layers to this. You've got different options here. So I'm fascinated to see and hear how this quarterback competition goes because it sounds like day one went pretty well. Ryan Day didn't really talk about a timeline or anything like that for naming a quarterback. He said he would like to have one going into the year. Didn't really felt like they had one until the Notre Dame game last year. Obviously Ohio State wins that game on the final play. So maybe it came down to, a couple of plays here and there, and maybe they don't have a starting quarterback. Maybe Devin Brown plays more last year. So he would like to have somebody going into the Akron game. I think that that's probably the smart way to do it. But day one, I mean, everything's positive, everything's rosy, everything's sunshine and rainbows. Kind of sounds like that. Ryan Day, it felt genuine the way he talked about the quarterbacks.
They said at Big Ten Media Days that the first 4 practices they were going to continue to do what they were doing in spring practice, which was just, as you mentioned, roll the guys. Right. Everybody's working with everybody. They had the split fields thing going on. So one grouping of quarterbacks, you had Will Howard and then Julian Sand going behind him. But I did notice in one position drill, when they actually did have them line up 1 through 5, Julian Sand was 3rd. He was 4th in the spring. 1 down, 2 to go. But Will Howard and Julian Sand together, and then you had Devin Brown, Lincoln Keenholz, and Aaron Noland together. He mentioned zip off the ball. Yeah. I think what we saw today and what Ryan Day saw today was quarterbacks who have had 9 months. Remember, Will Howard's only been here for 9 months, so I remember the first day of spring. He didn't look all that great. He didn't look hot.
15 practices. Yeah.
Neither did Justin Fields in 2019, that first spring practice, and there was consistent development over those 9 months. He looked more comfortable out there. Balls were on the mark a little bit more. It didn't look perfect. There were some off ones there. There were some plays where the wide receivers clearly made the play and the ball wasn't great, but there was progress there. And you mentioned the physical development of Will Howard. Ryan Day said that started the moment Will Howard got here. It's just something I've been thinking about in my head. This idea of Will Howard's never had the infrastructure he has at Ohio State. So what does that mean for his ceiling? What does that mean for what he's going to be able to do this year? And I think day one of spring practice, yeah, it didn't look great. Day one of fall camp looked pretty good. But so did Devin Brown, so did Julian Sand. Aaron Noland and Lincoln Keenholz had their moments as well. Get the text, 614-350-3315. That's day one of fall camp. We'll be back out here on Friday watching it as well, Andrew and myself, and we'll talk with Jim Knowles afterward. And go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts.